Hello and welcome to the Study Legal English YouTube channel. I'm Louise. Welcome back if you are a regular here, and welcome if it's your first time. Today, our topic is Make or Do Legal English Collocations Part 1. And we're going to cover a simple rule to take into account when using make or do. We are going to do a quiz where you are going to guess whether you use the verb make or do to form the collocation. And after each guess, I'll explain a little bit about the expression, give you another example. And so if you want to skip all that and just do the simple quiz to check that you know these collocations, you can go towards the end of the video. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like, subscribe to the channel, and do me a favor, share this with a friend or a colleague. It helps me to grow my channel and to reach more people. All right, so let's go. So let's have a quick rule of thumb. What's the rule? A quick rule of thumb. Just so that you know, a rule of thumb is a general guide or principle, okay? It's not a law that is always followed, but it's a general rule that can guide you, okay? So as a quick rule of thumb, we use make when we're creating or producing something, we're constructing something, and we use do for actions, tasks, activities, which are especially routine ones. It's important to note that very often, and especially in legal English, when we would use the word do, we can also use alternative verbs such as conduct, perform, carry out, and these can sound more formal. Okay, it happens a lot in legal English. Just note that I am a British English person, I'm not American, and so sometimes the usage of these alternative verbs, conduct, perform, carry out, they differ in usage in America. One might be more common than the other compared to in the UK. So let's try to apply that rule of thumb and go straight into the quiz. Make or do. Question number 1. Okay, I'm going to give you a statement. You've got to fill in the gap. You have to a decision about whether to take the case. You have to a decision about whether to take the case. Are you going to take the case or not? Okay. 3, 2, 1. The answer is make. Okay, you make a decision. To make a decision essentially means to decide. Okay, so an example is the lawyer is waiting for the client to make a decision on the settlement offer. Okay, and of course you could be more concise here. You could simply say you have to decide whether to take the case or not. Okay, you have to decide whether to take the case. Similarly, you could say the lawyer is waiting for the client to decide on the settlement offer. Okay, question number 2, or statement number 2, where you have to guess. Okay, the associate lawyer didn't double check the contract and a mistake. The associate lawyer didn't double check the contract and a mistake. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The answer is make. Okay, you make a mistake, you don't do a mistake. Okay, so to make a mistake obviously means to do something incorrectly, but we say make a mistake. Okay. Another example of using to make a mistake is it's important to review your work to avoid making mistakes in legal documents. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 3, or statement number 3. Before filing the lawsuit, you'll need to some research to find similar cases. Before filing the lawsuit, you'll need to some research to find similar cases. All right, so 3, 2, 1. The answer is to do. You don't make some research, okay? You do some research. What does it mean? To do research means to investigate or study, or simply to research, okay? An example sentence is the research you did on double taxation treaties is really helpful, okay? Of course, you could be more concise. You could simply say, before filing the lawsuit, you'll need to research to find similar cases. Okay? Or your research on double taxation treaties is really helpful. Okay, so I've got a few extra points to make about research. Okay, some extra info. Firstly, remember that research as a noun is uncountable. It's a really common mistake to say, I made some researches. Okay, research, remember, it's uncountable. We don't say I did a research, I did researches. We simply say I did research, I did some research. Secondly, okay, another point is this is one of those times when it's really common to use one of those alternative verbs instead of do. Okay, so you might say to conduct some research, and that's got the sense of being quite formal. You might say to carry out some research, which is a really common alternative to do. Okay, so let me give you some examples. The university conducted research into differences between banking law across jurisdictions. It was quite a formal research, like a study. Okay. Whereas you yourself, maybe you're working as a paralegal, maybe you're an associate, maybe you do a lot of research yourself, you could actually use the alternative to carry out. This morning, I carried out research into whether a director can be held personally liable for the business debts. Okay, so just notice that, you could use do, you could use carry out. Carry out sounds quite nice. It's used a lot in legal contexts. Okay. Let's move on to the next question, number 4. You've got a phrase here. We need to plan for handling this high-profile case. We need to a plan for handling this high-profile case. The answer is make. Okay, to make a plan. To make a plan means to plan something. Okay, you could simply say plan. That's the straightforward verb. So, for example, let's make a plan for presenting this to the judge. You could alternatively say, let's plan how we will present this to the judge. Next one, number 5. Okay. Lawyers must always their best to represent their clients effectively. Lawyers must always their best to represent their clients effectively. All right, 3, 2, 1. The answer is do, to do one's best. Okay, to do my best, to do your best. Okay, and it means to try as hard as you can to really put in a lot of effort, to make a big effort to do something effectively. Okay. Another example is, even in tough cases, a good lawyer will always do their best. Okay, I've got a couple of extra points here. Okay, and this is about there. Okay, you will notice in that previous sentence, I said, even in tough cases, a good lawyer will always do their best. But the lawyer here is singular, okay? A good lawyer, but I'm using their, which, you would usually use in the context when we're dealing with more than one person. So just to let you know that in English, okay, there, and in this situation here, it's an example of using singular they. What does that mean? Okay. We often use they or their in English to avoid specifying a gender, he, she, his, her, when it's irrelevant or unknown. This is not really a new thing, okay? It's been happening for a long time. It's not considered nowadays as grammatically incorrect. It's super common, okay? So you will certainly hear native speakers speaking like this, and so you could also try to start using it yourself if you haven't used it yet. Okay, let's move on. Question number 6, back to the quiz. It's crucial to due diligence before finalising a merger. It's crucial to due diligence before finalising a merger. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The answer is to do due diligence, not to make due diligence. Okay, to do due diligence. What does it mean? You're conducting a thorough investigation. It happens a lot in mergers and acquisitions. Okay, or when there's a share purchase agreement, the buyer will conduct a due diligence or do due diligence into the company that they are buying. Another example sentence, we'll need to do due diligence to ensure there are no hidden liabilities. Some extra information here on to do due diligence, to do due diligence. This is another example of where it's really, really common to use an alternative verb instead of do. Okay, we often use the alternative to carry out. For example, we'll need to carry out due diligence to ensure there are no hidden liabilities. I worked late every day last week, carrying out due diligence. Okay, let's move on. We're on to number 7. Okay, number 7, the new partner wants to a suggestion on improving client intake procedures. The new partner wants to a suggestion on improving client intake procedures. 3, 2, 1. The answer is make, to make a suggestion. What does it mean? It means to suggest. You are making a proposal. You're not telling someone that they must do something, but you're recommending a course of action. Further examples are, let me make a suggestion before you call the client. And if you want to be more concise, you can simply use suggest directly as a verb. Just pay attention that it needs a direct object. Okay, let me suggest something. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Before hiring new staff, we always a background check. Before hiring new staff, we always a background check. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The answer is do, to do a background check. So let's have a look. What does it mean? To do a background check, it means to examine someone's history, to investigate someone's history, to check maybe that they're telling the truth on their CV, that they don't have a criminal record. And an example sentence, another one would be, we must do a background check to verify the candidate's qualifications. I've got some extra info here, okay, on a background check. So this is another example where you can use alternative verbs to do. You can say to conduct. Again, this sounds very formal. You can use to carry out, okay, which sounds very similar to do, okay, to carry out a background check. It's used very commonly as an alternative to do. For example, we must carry out a background check to verify the candidate's qualifications, or the authorities conducted a background check. Okay, let's move on. I've got a little bit more of extra information about to do a check. You can actually use to do a whatever check. Okay, you can insert the type of check it is. Here I was talking about a background check, but there might be other checks that happen. Okay, other types of controls, checks. So you can follow this rule to do, to conduct, to carry out other types of checks. For example, compliance checks. Okay. Our legal team often does compliance checks to ensure regulations are being followed, would be an example. The company routinely does compliance checks to meet industry standards. All right, let's move on. We are close to the end. We're on question number 9. It's rewarding to know that your work can a difference in your clients' lives. It's rewarding to know that your work can a difference in your clients' lives. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The answer is make. Okay, to make a difference. Now, you can make a difference in someone's life. You can also make a difference to something. okay, or to someone. And so to is also another common preposition that we use with this phrase. What does it mean? To make a difference means to have an impact, okay, to affect someone or something. Usually it's used in a positive way, okay? An example is pro bono work allows lawyers to make a real difference in the community. Let's move on to question number 10. Okay. Question number 10. The legal team needs to an analysis of the contract before proceeding. The legal team needs to an analysis of the contract before proceeding. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The answer is to do an analysis. What does it mean? Okay, it means to analyze, simply the direct verb there, to analyze legal issues or documents, to make an evaluation, to study, to assess. Let's have a look at another example sentence. We should do a detailed analysis of the risks involved in this agreement. We should do a detailed analysis of the risks involved in this agreement. To be more concise, you could simply say we should analyse in detail the risks involved in this agreement. We should analyse the risks involved in this agreement. We should check, we should look at, we should study, we should assess. However, okay, there are more common alternatives. Okay, you can say to do an analysis, but quite honestly, there are more common alternatives. To perform an analysis is often used in scientific, technical contexts. So if you work in IP, perhaps, intellectual property, you might hear like IT software developers saying, oh, we performed an analysis using our software and blah, blah, blah. You can say to conduct an analysis. This is used in academic, legal, business contexts. Okay, we conducted an analysis. Probably the most common alternative is to carry out an analysis. Okay, it's really common even in formal contexts like you will be working in, and it just sounds a little bit better than using do. Okay. All right, let's do a final quiz. Okay, let's do a final quiz because I've already made it. Here we go. I'm going to simply put up the phrases, the collocations, and we're going to do it quickly, okay, just to have a final review to check, are you going to get these right or not? Okay, so let's have a look. To a mistake. To a mistake. To your best. To your best. To a plan. To a plan. To a decision. To a decision. To something, some research. To research, or to some research. Number 6, to something, a background check. Okay, to something, a background check. Number 7, to something, a difference. To something, a difference. Number 8, to something, due diligence. To something, due diligence. Number 9, to something, an analysis. To something, an analysis. And finally, to something, a suggestion. To something, a suggestion. So the answers are, firstly, to make a mistake. To make a mistake. To do your best. To do your best. To make a plan. To make a plan. To make a decision. To make a decision. To do some research. To do some research. To do a background check. To do a background check. To make a difference. To make a difference. To do due diligence. To do due diligence. To do an analysis. To do an analysis. And to make a suggestion. To make a suggestion. Okay, so How many did you get correct? That's the important question. Let me know. And why don't you make some sentences using these collocations? And, in that way, you're going to be practicing and learning. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more episodes and to get notifications. So thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some of those collocations. I hope you're more confident about when to use make and do. Tune in next time, okay, next week when we've got another video on this topic, make or do part 2. Head over to my website, studylegalenglish.com, for more legal English resources. And don't forget to check out my other Study Legal English videos. You can also find me on Facebook, the Study Legal English Facebook group, or on Instagram. My Instagram account is @legalenglisher. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.